This episode of Video Marketing Madness is made possible by Aweber. Aweber is the easy way to do email marketing, build your list, and market to that list. If you want to start building lists and marketing to them right away, then head on over to raythevideoguy.com/Aweber. And on today's show, we've got Fireman Mike back once again to talk to us a little bit about what's going on at Google and some of the changes that are happening. So, should be fun stuff.
He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy.
It's the radio show about Video Marketing Madness with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Video Marketing Madness. Follow us on Twitter at VideoMKT Madness. Get plenty of useful tips and news of the week. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you guys?
I can't complain. Done doing it good anyhow.
That's
I'll tell
right.
you what, in our industry, though, when Google makes a change, it gets a little busy.
Well, there's a lot of changes going on at Google. In fact, I'm going to say that this whole show is going to be like a news of the week. Now, I noticed the founders, Page and Brin, started a company called Alphabet that's going to own Google. And so Alphabet is the holding company for Google, and they're kind of pulling themselves out of the day-to-day, and then they've named a CEO of Google. So if you're seeing references to Alphabet, that's what that means. It's the new holding company for Google. And then all kinds of changes at Google this week. They updated, it's not a 7-pack anymore, it's a 3-pack for the Google My Business. And then, if I understand correctly, Mike, there's all kinds of other changes going on at Google as well. So
There really are. And I just kind of want to state for the record, if I'm worth $30 billion, you'll never have to worry if Mike's involved in the day-to-day operations.
That's right.
An absolute not going to be there. So
Yeah.
I just if anybody's curious out there.
Well, I'm only making 75 cents, and I'm not involved in the day-to-day. But that's another story.
And unfortunately, that only works until things start falling apart, and then you like Bill Gates, you have to go running back in, though. Unfortunately,
Steve Jobs had to.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, lots of changes going on, and they kind of hit local businesses pretty hard this last week, and
yeah, and they've hit I was going to say they've hit them hard a few times, but quite honestly, I don't care what they say. That whole mobile thing did not turn out to be the Armageddon that they tried to make it sound like. I still see that many of the sites on page one are not mobile friendly.
Right. Yeah, no, the mobile thing is small potatoes compared to what they just rolled out, and honestly, I don't think we're done with the changes from my perspective, and so. Maybe what we can do is I could run through the changes, and that way, before I start making predictions, people at least know what has happened.
Yeah, that's great, because I know this is probably the 10th time you've talked about it since Saturday, so you probably got it down pretty well.
Well, I dug in immediately with my team, and it especially in the creative world, but when you call people in on a Saturday, that doesn't really go over well. So, but I called the team in on a Saturday, and we really dug into it because it's an important thing, and so. I feel like I have a bunch of information, and and in talking about it, just to be clear, we've looked at every blog out there, we've looked at every Google comment. So what I'm relaying, I don't want it to be all my information. I am kind of the aggregator and maybe the guy reporting on it. And I'm really trying to give just the best information out there possible, but I don't want to take credit for every idea or anything like that, because there's just been a whole lot that we've dug into. I think we have about 36 man hours into reading and looking at data and all this stuff. So, but the first thing is, so Google has always had on the Google My Business or the Google Plus Local, they were showing anywhere from 3 businesses upwards of sometimes 10. And I think we've kind of come to know that as the 7-pack, because on average, it was about 7 businesses that showed up, typically before the organic results. So on a Google search page, you had the ads, typically, and then you would have the local business section, and then you would have the organic results. And so what it did is it pushed the organic results way down, and a lot of local businesses really got a lot of traction from showing up there,
Right.
and even businesses that didn't necessarily do a whole lot to show up there. And Google showed the phone number, and the phone rang for them, and so life was pretty good. And then overnight, basically, it seems about 70% of businesses lost that little special spot because Google reduced it to three businesses. Um, and not only did they reduce it to only showing three, but they removed the phone number from those three. They removed the address. So they're just doing all kinds of stuff. And now, and it's interesting because Google has said they always favor the searcher. That's kind of their default answer. Well, it's better for searchers. Well, they now make it where it's a two-click process to see the information about the business. So if a business is on that first page and you want to see more, you've got to click over to another page, and then Google will show you the phone number and the address. So kind of bizarre. The other thing Google has done is if you search plumber Dallas, for example, Google doesn't even show their own Google Plus page anymore. And so they've kind
Right.
of removed that, which really makes it seem like, hey, they're going to obviously continue with this idea of getting rid of Google Plus. And I honestly didn't think it was going to hit the businesses, but it looks like Google My Business, which is where you populate your Google Plus page, will stay, but Google Plus has kind of disappeared. Now, the caveat is if you search Bill's Plumbing Dallas, and it'll come up with Bill's Google Plus, but we don't know how long that'll be there. And then the last kind of couple of other major changes, then we can dig into these guys. I'll just kind of give the quick overview, but Google is saying that all the unverified Google Plus pages are going to be going away. And currently, and you guys may know better than I do, but we cannot seem to find under the new structure that Google's inserting video into these listings. And so we've looked and looked, and we're just not finding anything like that either.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange bunch of changes. Now, the one thing I will say, though, of course, this is Google, and a month from now they might change it right back to what it was. But it's definitely interesting because they were putting such a focus on local, 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 and now it seems like they're just going in the opposite direction, and I don't quite understand that.
Well, so right now in San Francisco, if you go into incognito mode and you Google plumber San Francisco or locksmith San Francisco, those three businesses, just like across the rest of the country, show up. But those are now paid spots, and it's a lot like Home Advisor or Service Magic, whereas if you click on the business, it gives you some information, but it says, would you like to contact the business? And if you click that button, you just basically fill out information. And so they're basically feeding the businesses leads right from Google. And so that's being tested right now in the Silicon Valley area. And so the thought process is kind of that, look, if this proves successful for Google there, they are probably going to roll this out into other areas, everywhere they're kind of doing this. And so
Yeah. And the sponsored ones are nice. They, the one thing missing, of course, is they don't have the map anymore.
Right,
Or at least
right.
not in some of these searches anyway. I don't know if that'll be the case everywhere. But these paid ones, because they are sponsored now, those at least have the phone number and show up at the top, and they're much nicer. But yeah, I mean, it's doing exactly that. Locksmith San Francisco, the only thing that shows up is the sponsored ones. That's it.
Correct. And so these large number of businesses that lost their page one ranking have basically disappeared. But what I don't think is these other businesses know that are there is very soon they're probably going to have to pay to be there. And what I think is going to happen is because I absolutely agree with you, Ray, that Google has been very pro local business, and I think Google sees it like, wow, people use our search engines all the time to find local business, and we're not monetizing that as well. Google has not monetized the local PPC as much as they possibly could, and I think this change proves this is exactly what they're going to try to do. If you want to be a local business showing up at the top of Google, you're going to pay, and I think that's what it's coming to.
And I think, to an extent, I think that makes perfect sense. They used to have the blue dots, and I think that seemed like a much smarter way to go. Is put the maps up there, put people on the maps, and then have people pay to be higher. I think that makes a lot more sense. I don't quite understand how this benefits the searcher at all.
Well, especially if they took away the address and phone number.
Well, and the top thing about this is what this means is if I'm schlocky, Schlocky's car service, and I'm the worst service in town. If I pay Google $500,
Yeah.
I'm the one they recommend.
Yeah.
And that just does not seem to serve the searcher at all.
What it seems like, though, from is Google, the businesses that are paid right now, Google has gotten insurance from them. They have asked for business licenses. So I think there's going to be some more investigation into those people before they just take their money.
So they'll vet them.
They're going to vet them, I think. And I would tend to believe, again, this is just pure me speculating, so to be very clear, but I think reviews are going to continue to play a huge role, because if you're the guy at Google and you have two plumbers and one has a bunch of good reviews and the other one doesn't, and they're both quality and verified, who are you going to go with if you only can put 3 people there? And it may come down to the guy who could pay more. But I also think there's going to be a review factor there.
And and honestly, I mean, we've all gone through the whole get reviews but just doing some searching while we're talking here in my area, I pulled up DUI lawyers just because that's something that I'd been working on. And when the little map comes up and the 3-pack shows up, the one that's number 1 is the one with no reviews, no stars,
Yeah, I had the same thing happen to an attorney here in Omaha. In fact, Mike LeMoine and I both know him, but he was in the 7-pack, and he's not in the 3-pack. And one of the guys in the 3-pack has no reviews at all, and our guys got 5 stars or had 5 stars. Did the 5-star thing go away?
No, the 5-star thing is still there, and if they have them, they're showing it on that front page. But what people were used to with the local business results is you click on those 5 stars, and a window would pop up showing you the reputation.
Right.
And now you click on those 5 stars, and they bring you to that secondary page before you can actually see the reviews. So I think Google, I have to think that Google did not like, because Google's in the data game. The more data they have, the more they can predict and do all their stuff and monetize off of it. I really believe that Google did not like the fact that people could call a local business and Google had no clue if that was going to happen. So at least now they can track the click and go, okay.
I was just going to say that exact thing here, because that's the one thing that I've noticed is that they've made the website much more prominent to get to. And I wondered, that was the first thing that popped into my head, is I wonder if this is their attempt to say, we want to see how many people are clicking, because if they just pick up the phone, we have no idea.
Yeah, and I did notice that today. It kind of surprised me, but yeah, I went right to the website that's not normally what happened. So folks are going to have to get used to that, but I think, well, it's obviously all about monetizing those clicks and tracking those clicks. So
yeah, and Google's official response was, and I'll just read it to you guys. We are constantly exploring the best way to bring better search experience to our users. This update provides people with more relevant information, including photos, reviews, and prices for searches that have multiple results for a given location. So clearly whoever got assigned to go give this statement didn't really pay a whole lot of attention either, because it doesn't really sit with what they're saying, in my opinion.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and here's something that I was thinking about with this as well. For quite a while now, one of the trends in SEO was, hey, it's all about the click. If you're on page 1 and people are choosing you when they search, then Google knows that you're more important, that sort of thing. And if they're picking up the phone and not calling, they don't know that. So not only are they tracking the clicks, but that's probably what's helping them to understand, because if you've got ABC law firm in the number 1 spot and people are picking up the phone, you don't know who people are choosing. And I think that's what Google wants to pay attention to, is who are the people choosing when they see these results. Yeah. And I bet you that has a big part of it as well.
And I think it's all in the absolute end game, though, of paving the way for new paid services.
Oh, absolutely. I
Um,
don't doubt that for a second because even when you click through and you go to the big map, there's no paid ads on the big map here, and you would think that that would be prime real estate for people to want to pick up. So I could see that definitely becoming a thing of the future, no doubt.
Yeah,
Sad
and
part is this 3 box seems to take up just as much space as the
yeah,
as the old 7 box
yeah.
did.
well, and I think that us as marketers need to understand a couple of things. That number one, it is going to be a lot more of pay to play, and businesses are probably going to end up doing pay per click. And I think that typically the margins aren't as great for those of us who have skills and get paid for our time and those things. I think that's something, but I also think that there's a lot of lazy businesses and a lot of lazy marketers who they kind of throw up a website and they think it's good enough. Well, now that they can, somebody could click from the homepage and then go to a website, which has always been possible. But I think Google's really going to be looking at this. I think being able to optimize the every local website as far as good content, really, establishing what that business is about. Because if you are not showing up in that 3 pack now, every click is 10 times more vital. So you better do the best job you can on your site to convert that lead. And if you're showing up in the 3 pack, you better take advantage of it because I'm sure Google's tracking bounce rates and all those other things. And
Oh yeah.
if you're not going to do a good job for their people, they're probably just going to swap you out and put somebody else there. So I think the marketing on a website is now very, very important, and I think it's always been important. But I think a lot of people have been lazy on that, and I don't think we can get away with that anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and Google was saying that a couple of years ago that the marketing on the website was going to be very important.
Yep.
So there you go. It is that's coming true.
Yeah, and that's been the supposed case for a while. I mean, they want to make sure that it's that whole Google dance thing that people have talked about for ages. A lot of times people thought it was like, oh, things just bounce around for a while. Well, not really. It's they test you out, and if you don't perform, they put somebody else who will.
Yep.
And so that's just kind of the way they've done things for a while. Now, does that always work? No, because in many places, in towns that I've lived in, there isn't much choice. You got to put somebody there. So the 3 plumbers that you have in the neighborhood are going to be there
Yeah,
because
yeah,
there isn't a fourth.
yeah.
That kind of a thing. But in bigger areas, it's going to be a competition, and whoever performs the best is going to get the rewards in most cases.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I think where video and stuff really comes into play and is important is not only still driving traffic from other sources, but having those videos on your website that are going to help engage people and keep people there. And not only a homepage video, I think we've seen a lot of over the last few years. It's all been about homepage videos, but I'll tell you, we have some clients where they're doing pay per click or even organic, where we put specific videos on specific pages of the website. And if you're a veterinarian and you take care of cats and dogs, you better have a dog page and a cat page and a video talking about how you handle both of those. And those things are going to drive a lot of conversions too. And I think that people haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to that, but I think that's going to become very important as well.
Hey, no, go ahead.
There's been a lot of case studies showing just that. In fact, there was a product that was put out recently, and their whole entire SEO strategy in this product, because of the results they saw, was all based on having those different videos on every page. And the ridiculous results they started getting just because each page had its own video about that particular subject. So it's there's some proven case studies that just show you get those videos onto those pages and you get some results out of that.
One thing I was going to throw in, and don't set this in stone, okay? It's just something I noticed, all right? As both you guys know, I'll take videos from attorneys and rank them for decent keywords in the suburbs, okay? Now, if there was a 7-pack Google My Business listings for those keywords, it would take me a couple of weeks to get them on page one, if I got them on page one. And I don't always get them on page one. But I wouldn't instantaneously get the videos on page one if there was the Google My Business listings. Okay, I did some feeds yesterday, and guess what? Where there was the 3-pack of Google My Business listings, I was getting the videos on page one in more than one instance. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm just saying that
It
I
sounds
saw
to
that.
me like just more real estate.
Yeah.
What would have been the first thing on page 2, there's now space for,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what it sounds like. I
Yeah.
mean, that could be wrong, but
Yeah, but it's just, that's very anecdotal, but I'm going to keep tracking that. But it surprised the heck out of me. I felt pretty good about it.
Well, Mike, tell me what you think of this, because to me, when I see that this, they're going to show 3 instead of 7, or 3 instead of 5, or whatever they're changing it to, and who knows if that'll change again next week. How much more valuable is that video that gets to page 1?
I think it's far more valuable, because at least that's something that's in semi control, to be able to rank those videos. And I think that videos have always helped clients stand out and be different. So if now you're searching through the page and that video thumbnail shows up, it's a whole lot more valuable, I believe, because a large number of businesses just got removed from that page one.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think what we're going to see is YouTube's always been strong, but a lot more people seem to be going to YouTube to find businesses and to find information.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's going to continue to matter. The other thing, I think one of the strategies that we've done that has worked pretty good with video is, if you take that same analogy of putting that video on the page all about dogs, but if you use a YouTube video that's keyword loaded, just like you would try to rank it, but now you embed that YouTube video on that inside page, and you put text around it that reflects the YouTube video, those pages are ranking pretty strong as well.
Yeah.
And so there's multiple ways that YouTube video can help you. And typically, I won't be the guy to say put a YouTube video on a website, but this is the exception that is working really, really well. It seems across a good number of our clients.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, and you're in a good position too. Not only you're an agency, an internet marketing agency that tells the truth, but honest with people. But it's good to have a nice little video production studio as well these days.
Correct.
A little plug there for Maverick Web Marketing.
Yeah, fly on in. We'll do your videos.
So, what else is going on at Google?
Well, so let me step back one quick second, because I do have a thought that kind of lines up with this, and I think that video on, what you're seeing, Steve, is awesome, but and we haven't seen that yet, but we haven't been putting out, since the change, we haven't put out videos. We've been reading about the change, so I guess it's time to get our butts back to work. But the other thing that I think has just become far more valuable for local businesses is a lot like what you're doing, Steve, is ranking videos for maybe the longer tail keywords that are less competitive, because you could have somebody shoot a half a day's worth of video, get 10 videos, and now you can go after 10 keywords. And maybe those 10 keywords don't get a large volume, but combined, that they do. And I think that's something that a lot of local businesses are really going to have to start looking at, because again, they have lost rankings. So what do you do to get back to a level of traffic that's acceptable? And I think that's a strategy that we're going to be employing for a lot of different clients.
Well, and the neat thing about that is you don't have to spend a ton of resources to get those ranked, but you are able to rank them across a number of keyword sets. In some cases, I've done 75 to 100 keyword sets, and I feed them out 4 per week, and I chop up the videos and I change them around and everything else, so I'm not spamming real heavily, but it still doesn't cost a ton of money, relative to what some things cost, I guess. And they've got a large footprint, Now, one thing I've sold with that is the citations that go with it. I don't know if I can so much do that anymore. Although I still don't think citations hurt. I still think it's a good thing. But anyhow.
As far as, what do you mean you don't think it's a good thing?
Oh, citations? I think it's a good thing. I think it
Oh,
is,
okay.
yes, positive, a good
Oh,
thing.
okay. I think they're probably more important than ever now.
Yeah, because what I saw when I was I was being a little facetious there. Sorry, that gets my wife's always telling me, I never know when you're kidding and when you're serious, but what I have found is as I'm feeding out these videos with the citations. Businesses that were not in now goes back to the 7-pack days, but businesses that were not in the 7-pack all of a sudden showed up in the 7-pack. So was there a correlation? I think there is. I know that's somewhat anecdotal. And I still think those citations are going to help. I mean, they're going to help get you in the 3-pack. There's no doubt about that. Can we guarantee it? No. But I mean, that's why the process is so important. It's not about the get rich quick. It's about doing all the processes that build you wealth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
As they say. So.
Well, and I think everybody's going to have to be a lot more disciplined in it too, because now there's only 3 spots, and that competition for those 3 spots is going to increase. And so everybody who is trying to get to those spots is going to have to be more disciplined in doing all of it. Doing citations, getting reviews, making sure there's not duplicate listings, all the different things that I think we all know to do. But what I see in our industry sometimes is people get ranked, and then marketers go, okay, well, they're ranked and they stay there for a while, and so they kind of let off the gas a little bit and can't afford to do that anymore.
No, you can't. And I think the other thing is I've always been a big believer in AdWords, and those AdWords buys are going to continue to be important. However, your competition could do that too. I mean, they can use SpyFu and see what you're doing, or use other tools and see what you're doing. And what's going to differentiate you between you and the competition is going to be that organic juice. And if you're disciplined and you're not lazy, and more importantly, your marketing company is disciplined and not lazy, then you're going to have a competitive advantage.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. So let me ask you this. We kind of alluded to it at the beginning. There's more changes than just the 7-pack to 3-pack changes. For instance, the mobile. A lot of talk about the mobile changes and Mobilegeddon, and which quite frankly didn't seem to wreak as much havoc as people thought. What have you found with the mobile? Has it been as important as they tried to make it out to be?
No, we haven't seen that. And what we've seen in mobile search results is if you have the mobile website, you may show up a little bit higher. But I think what people were trying to say is if you didn't have mobile, you were going to go off of page 1 of Google. Right. And that wasn't true. What was more true is if you didn't have mobile, you may not show up in mobile results. But the reality of it is I don't think enough businesses converted to mobile. So Google's like, they can't leave blank space there. So they're going to have to show a business there, And yeah. So I think that's the reason that the Mobilegeddon didn't hit as hard as we thought, is not enough businesses converted. So, and I think that's why we're still seeing some of those things. But I do think that I'll just tell you from our standpoint, we are working to try to make more of our clients move to responsive sites versus having an adjunct mobile site.
Oh, sure.
And I think Google's they're going to want to continue to see everything under one domain. They're not going to want the other mobile domains. And so the only way to really do that effectively is the responsive sites. And so, and I think responsive sites from a SEO standpoint are going to help because people are going to have to scroll and stay on that page a little bit longer than what they may be used to.
Right. No, and I agree. I completely agree that the responsive sites are a much better way to go anyway overall. So that's good to hear.
And explain responsive site.
It just means that the website, it's the same website on the desktop, on the iPad, and on the phone. It just rearranges itself to look better on those smaller screens.
Right.
Yeah. So if you have three 3 horizontal boxes on a regular site. When that site goes down to a mobile, it may turn it into 3 vertical boxes, but it's the same 3 boxes.
Yeah, they're nice. They work quite well.
Yes, they do work quite
So
well.
what other things do we need to start worrying about right now?
Yeah, what else? What else
do we need to be afraid of?
What else happened this week?
Well, so I think we're all going to have to kind of pay attention a little bit more to paid traffic, and I think pay per click is going to be important. But I mean, reports came out last quarter that the ad buy for local pay per click traffic was up. I don't remember the exact stat, but it was up a bunch. Like, things were more expensive for local businesses, which I'm sure is playing right into what Google wants. I mean, if they're going to get paid for a click, they might as well get as much as they can. I'm sure is their thought process. So I think that what businesses are going to have to look at is other ways to get traffic, and we can figure out this Google change at some point, but then they're going to change again. And so I think that us as marketers are going to have to probably start to become more comfortable in dealing with paid traffic. And I think we also have to become more comfortable in really having a frank conversation with our clients or potential clients, of not trying to shield them from the fact of what it really is going to cost to win on the internet nowadays. And I think that people are a little nervous to have those conversations with businesses because they feel if that number goes too high, they may not get hired.
Right.
But I think businesses are just going to have to understand it is becoming a pay-to-play game. And either you're going to pay for PPC or you're going to pay somebody who can rank videos or get you in the 3-pack, but it's not going to be $99 a month and you'll be happy. Right. The prices are going to increase, and I think that's a major conversation that us as marketers need to be having. But I also think frank conversations with our clients as well.
And I'll tell you, that's one thing that, in fact, I wrote something. I believe it was yesterday that I put out in an email that talked specifically about that, where, it's getting to the point now where if you want to get, let's say, a video to page 1, by the time you add up your expenses of all the different things that you do to be able to get it up there, and article writing and, whatever it is you're doing, it comes out to be a pretty penny. But if you were to pay YouTube to promote that video, you're probably going to get action a lot quicker, and it's probably not going to cost you really anything more than you would have been spending, except that you won't be waiting 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the direction that I've seen it going. And I'll tell you right now, Facebook advertising is actually really good, although I believe they said that the average click now is up like 221% cost-wise, But I'll tell you, they've got to pay attention because, I started putting more money into all this new Twitter advertising stuff, and I'll tell you, the results are incredible. Now, that wasn't for local, and I haven't really tested it for local, but for typical ad campaigns, the results I got from Twitter were absolutely astonishing.
Wow.
For pennies.
For pennies.
So it's kind of the Wild West on Twitter, the way Facebook was about 2 years ago, where you could kind of just do anything.
Yeah, right. Now, was that for your affiliate stuff, Ray?
That was for, well, not for an affiliate product, but for a product that I was selling.
Okay, I know. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think too that there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, and I think the people who, as far as marketers, who are going to be fine with these changes are the ones who can understand how to convert some of that paid traffic to make it worthwhile. And I think it's kind of funny. It comes full circle, but we're getting back to, and some businesses have been very, very smart about this, but I really believe building an email list off of what you're paying for and getting people there is so much more important, and making sure that you have retargeting pixels on your site, because every visitor that's coming to a site now is so much more important, because either you're paying for it one way or another, either paid traffic or you're paying a marketer a pretty penny to get them there. And retargeting is something most local businesses aren't paying attention to, but I tell you, it's after this change, they should be.
Well, and my question with retargeting is, what ends up happening once every site
is doing it?
Is doing it? Because, you're only going to get that retargeting traffic for 2 minutes because the next site they went to now is the one that's
Mhm.
you see what I'm saying. So
Right.
it's interesting to see how it'll be interesting to see how long the retargeting really works. Once everybody has it, and you just don't have you're not cookied anymore because they've been to three other sites with targeting pixels since then.
Right, right. And I think that'll be part of it. And I think it'll end up becoming a bidding game, just like PPC or on Facebook or any of those other
Sure.
ones where you're going to end up paying more. The other thing I think that, and this was kind of already talked about, but I think it just puts a magnifying glass on it, is hyperlocal, which is, and people, a lot of people aren't familiar with that term. But I think making sure that everything on your website reflects what's going on in that local community. And so, number one, yeah, you should have your if you serve customers or if customers come to your location, you should have the map on your site and you should make sure you have the address. But I think it's going to be coming down to even blog posts about like congratulations to the local college team
Right.
who won, because it's going to go more and more to, hey, this site is truly a local site, and I think it's going to become really important.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's, that I mean, it's the same type of thing that people have been doing in businesses, for generations. You drive through the center of town and the supermarket congratulates the local this and that,
Hmm.
welcome home, Sergeant Jones, that kind of a thing. So I think that's, I think we need to start to think about that just like the local businesses have done in the past and really focus on that. I think that's a great idea.
But a lot of the stuff we're talking about today, I mean, we didn't know a few years back they were going to go to a 3-pack, but marketing the website, content, the local bent, all that kind of stuff. Google was telling us 3 years ago, 2 years ago,
Oh yeah, none of this is new.
yeah, yeah. I mean, start doing that. So they have kind of given us a forewarning. It's just that ranking stuff is going to be different now. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if they purposely make it much more difficult to rank organic things, just because they want you to pay, and that would not surprise me one bit.
No,
But
absolutely. And the other thing that I've seen with this change is the local directories on some search terms, and this isn't across the board, but local directories are now prominent, not the
mhm.
local businesses. And so I think
Yep.
that I hate saying this because it's kind of like the PC guy who goes over to Mac and then at some point would have to like hang his head and go back to PC. That's kind of the way I feel. Um, I'm a Mac guy now. I used to be a PC guy, but I think that local businesses are really going to have to pay attention and possibly play nice with these local directories,
And we got
like
to be
God
nice to
forbid
Yelp again, don't
Yelp.
we?
Yeah, yeah.
Got to be nice to Yelp.
Oh God, I hate saying that because, well, for two reasons. One, if they have to pay Yelp, they're not going to be paying us as much to do stuff,
Right.
unfortunately. But I also believe that um, showing up in those directories and for attorneys, Avo, like you better be an Avo because right now
Right.
Avo is sometimes the number one search for some of the major attorney terms, and so there used to be a time where we'd say no, don't worry about it, we could outrank them, but I don't know that we're in that world right now.
Hmm. Well, and Avo is spending a lot of money to promote themselves. At least they were this summer. So
Yes, yes.
And they're not the only ones. I mean, there's so many of them these days. And Find Law and One Law and you name it. They're all out there trying to compete for those spots. And of course, if you've got something that triggers Wikipedia, you're going to be in trouble anyway. So it's
yeah, yeah.
in fact, I'm looking at this right now. I'm looking at a lawyer result page, and sure enough, Find Law, you know, Thumbtack. I don't even know what that one is. Actually,
Yeah,
I've heard it.
I've heard of
So
Thumbtack.
it's just over and over again. Legal Match, Yellow Pages. So
But
there's
but yeah, we're going to have to pay some attention to the directories. But I'll tell you something, and especially with attorneys, because that's who I primarily work with, as at least for Main Street businesses, is that they have been screwed by every internet marketer in the world. And if you can come along and sort that stuff out for them and be honest with them, I mean, Mike, how many calls have we had where the attorney is, almost kind of belligerent with us in the beginning, and then they realize we're not your scumball internet marketers. We're internet marketers. We're just not your average scumball internet marketers. Then all of a sudden they kind of open up and they relax, and they even kind of apologize for being so hostile in the beginning.
Yeah, the guard is definitely up.
Yeah, I mean, the guard is definitely up, and I'm sure that's true with other businesses. So if you can come through and be honest with them and prove that you're honest and help them sort this stuff out, there's a place for your internet marketing agency in that.
Yes, yes. Well, the world of local marketing for sure is not. You don't have to be the sunshines and rainbows person. You don't have to tell them that everything is great. They will trust you more if you go, this isn't great, but here's how we're going to try to fix it. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to be the cheapest game in town either. Businesses are not. I think there's a stigma, especially amongst local marketers, but there's this stigma that everybody has this budget and they're not willing to pay. And I don't believe that. I believe people are willing to pay for quality services, and they're tired of paying. They're tired of paying cheap prices and not getting results. So the only other option for them,
if there's an ROI there, if you're delivering a 200% ROI, for instance, that's what they're looking at.
Yeah, yeah. And I read another. I don't remember where it's from, but I read another article that a lot of these big time internet companies, Reach Local, and some of those guys, their profits are dropping. They're not doing as well. And it's because they're basically feeding businesses through basically a feeder system of software with no human touch. And local businesses are starting to come around going, I really do need kind of an expert at this point. And the prediction is that the very small agencies, I think they use the term boutique, are going to do really, really well because the big companies are burning through resources and they're just pissing a bunch of people off. And it's going to be the smaller companies or the guys who know, the guys and gals who have, they're going to be a lot smaller, but they're going to understand, they're going to provide a higher level of service. And that's what a lot of businesses are looking for after being burned.
And we've seen way too many times these bigger companies and whatnot, half the time they have no idea what's going on. They're just doing what they did 4 years ago. Yeah. And I mean, Yellow Pages, gosh, we can create this little mini page for you. Like you were doing that 10 years ago and it didn't work. What are you doing? But they're Yellow Pages, so people will pay. But it's, these smaller groups, they're the ones who are passionate. They're the ones who understand it. They're the ones who live and breathe it. They're not just, answering a phone all day. And how much can you possibly learn about the SEO craft if you're working at Yellow Pages taking 400 phone calls every day, just trying to give people information that you're reading out of a book? You don't know any of that. There's no way you could.
Right.
So it's the boutique is definitely the place you've got to go.
Well, and the boutiques typically they're small enough to really care, but don't be misled by the term boutique because they got enough people to keep up and know what's going on, and that's what Mike's able to do. He brought his whole staff in on Saturday to figure it out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Most popular guy in Albuquerque.
Yeah, I was not a popular guy that day.
So, did we cover it? Did we think?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting to see the changes, and I think that a lot of times we tend to panic over these changes, but I think in many cases these changes are going to be good for us because it provides us with an opportunity to serve.
Yeah.
And it provides us with an opportunity to learn and to grow. And, the bottom line is if we were doing things correctly, and by correctly, I mean, we're, sticking to good principles versus the latest, $5 software that's going to get you to page 1 tomorrow, you're probably still on page 1 at that point. You probably haven't been bumped off, and if you have been, if you stick with the good practices, you can probably get back there. And I think that's what we all need to understand is we're not fighting against Google. We have to work with them. And in the past, it's always been, how can we trick them? and I don't think that's the right direction to go.
That might work for a month, but if you're working in concert with them and you're building a business. I'm talking about the offline marketers. You're building a business based on being honest and being of service, not trying to sell them something before they get off the phone, but trying to find out what they need and getting some agreement to move forward and being of service. You'll make a living, believe me. And in the case of Ray and Mike, you'll be making a darn good living.
That's questionable.
Yeah, well, I'm doing okay. I mean, for the way I'm doing. Well, hey guys, thanks a lot. It's the radio show about video, and today it was the radio show about Google Video Marketing Madness.
Yes, it was.
Ray, the video guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper, and our guest today has been Fireman Mike LeMoine from Maverick Web Marketing in Albuquerque, New Mexico, who nobody on his staff, well, they're starting to like him again because Saturday is kind of in the rearview mirror. Today's show made possible by AWeber. We talked a little bit about email marketing and how important it is to capture some of those leads, and I completely agree. No matter what business you are in, you are really in the business of collecting leads, and AWeber can help you do that, help you keep in contact with those leads, as well as to promote products and services. So check it out at raythevideoguy.com/AWeber. And like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Video Marketing Madness. Follow us on Twitter at Video MKT Madness. We post all kinds of good info there every day.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. So that's a wrap on another show. Why don't we take it out with a jingle, with the Ray the Video Guy jingle? Yeah.
Woohoo!
He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy.